as India closes on to the landing of its third lunar mission, Chandrayaan 3, world watches us. The rocket that was headed to the moon took off on the 14th of July 2023 and is scheduled to land next week on the 23rd of August. Yesterday, the Vikram lander achieved another milestone wherein the first deboosting maneuver was completed. The second such maneuver is scheduled 3 days before the soft landing is predicted on August the 20th. There are certain things that are pivotal to know about the mission, which we must delve into in this discussion. And to help us out to talk and understand this complicated yet ambitious scenario, we are joined by some experts. Group Captain V.N. Jha, Senior Scientist and former Joint Director of DRDO, joins us on the show. Mr. Suresh Nayak, ISRO Scientist, also with us on the program. Professor S.K. Dhaka, Space Expert, also joins us on the show. Rajiv Sardana, Defense Expert, also with us for this all-important chat. Well, there is certain information that India already has of the moon because of Chandrayaan 3. The images started coming in from the first day of the takeoff itself. Let us have a look as to what has come about through the images that we have been receiving in Sriharikota and of course the ISRO headquarters. Well, this is of course the view of the Earth as you can see it on the 14th of July 2023. That's when in fact the departure did happen. Earth as viewed by the lander, and the image is of course a little blurry at this point in time, but they are definitely going to be sending out more images which conclude what kind of a resolution we are dealing with here. On August 6th, the moon and its craters were captured by the lander, and you can see, well, first up, it's important to understand that this is also a side of the moon which has not been attempted in the past. It is something which is a unique feat that India is attempting here, and the moon captured by the lander after entering its orbit. These are some of those images that you see right now. This is exactly what the Chandrayaan has captured so far on August 17, which was day before yesterday. The propulsion module has captured after the separation. That blip that you see in the middle there is exactly what I was talking about. And the moon's craters have also been captured. Well, if you look at them from a very powerful telescope on Earth as well, you can see them with of course a bit of non-clarity, but here you can see how the terrain and how the surface of the moon is being captured in absolute high resolution detail. Right, Group Captain V.N. Jha, I'll begin with you, sir. I hope you can hear me. Group Captain Jha, if you can hear me, sir.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Well, how important are the next 72 hours for this mission of ours, the Chandrayaan 3?
Well, it is a space science, it is a rocket science. It's not easy. So there are complications, there are implications, and there are many things that we don't come to know. And of course, viewers, the laymen, they will never come to know what is going on in the ISRO. Scientists are onto it. They have been going through for the years together onto this plan. Last time when 2019 it was happening, we were pretty certain that it will happen. But some of us were also slightly skeptical of the lander's composition and few other things that we had already sounded those days on your channel as well. But this time, we are pretty convinced that ISRO has done every such thing. It has not left any stone unturned. What should come as a hurdle into the soft landing, successful soft landing. So they have done everything possible, and they have done it rightly so. As far as the ISRO's steps are concerned, what is going to happen tomorrow or day after? It's a continuous phase. You know, I'm not sure if you are aware that entire phase of Chandrayaan 3, right from the lifting off to the establishment of the labs, that is the lander and the rover, that will be setting its test there. All these are divided into 10 phases. First phase was the lifting off, and the last phase, phase 10, will be when everything, communication starts or is already established, and the tests and trial starts there. So that is the phase 10. Right now, we have just had a phase 6, in which the orbit has been again recast into 113 by 150 odd kilometers. And we were expecting that this orbit will be something like 100 into 35 plus minus 5 kilometer. That has not happened. So surely ISRO scientists must have worked out on it, and they will be doing again maybe tomorrow or day after, as they have planned it. So final orbit before landing will be somewhere close to 30 into 100 kilometers uh, of the orbit, lunar orbit. 30 kilometers is the closest point. We call it perihelion, and the 100 kilometers or 110 kilometers will be the farthest point of that orbit, which we call it apollyon. That is the farthest point. So from that, the final landing will be there. The final trajectory of the lander to make a soft landing will start from somewhere close to that 30 kilometers distance. And then thereafter, everything is computerized. Then ISRO doesn't have the direct control onto what should happen. There's a computer, there are the inputs to it, there are algorithms set into it that will decide how to come, how the control system happens. So with that, it will come gradually down to the spot. Spot also this time is fairly large, as the Orbiter 2 has sent a lot of images.
So hold on to that thought. We have a caller with us at this point in time. I'll come back to you. We'll pick up where you left off. Mr. V.K. Agarwal is giving us a call from Hisar. Mr. V.K. Agarwal, please go ahead.
Okay, I want to just confirm that Lunar 25 is ahead of us or is behind us?
Can you repeat that question again, sir?
Lunar 25 position.
All right, Mr. Vienja, you've understood the question. Please answer that.
Yes. Look, when Chandrayaan 3 is going on for the soft landing at the designated place, what is at 69 degree at east and 32 degree east and 69 degree south. Lunar 25 is going for landing at 43.6 degree east and almost the same, 69.5 degree south. So it is about 400 kilometers ahead of us, east of us. I'll show you for all of your viewers. I must show you this. Suppose if this is the moon and it is rotating on its north axis and the south pole, it is rotating there on that. Now see, when the sunrise happens, what comes here first? The red spot, if you can see, is the spot where Lunar 25 is going to touch down. Now the day sunrise happens at that place. That sunrise happens 2 days before our spot in this blue is going to be there. So since that spot is about a day and a half ahead of us, so they will be making the landing there a day and a half before us. It is not the race. It is because the sunrise is happening at their spot on that day, so they will be trying to make a landing on that day. So surely Lunar 25 is going to make a landing, I think possibly on 21st of this month, and we will be landing on 23rd because sunrise is happening on that day. And if we land before the sunrise in the night, our solar panel will be ineffective, and so is the Russian also. If they make a landing before that, it will be in the dark. So that doesn't gel well for any of the project, any of the system that they will be landing with.
Right. We have another caller, sir. We have Vinita Begun, who's giving us a call from Pune. Vinita ji, go ahead. What's your... Okay, we've lost that caller. Group Captain Jha, continue, sir.
Yeah, I just try to complete it. So that is how ISRO is going there. So we have got through part of phase 6, in which the deboosting was supposed to make it to 30 into 100. Part of it has been done. Now it has come to 113. That should come down to about 35 plus minus 5. And that will be the final orbit. Remember, these are the orbit in which the orbiter or the Chandrayaan 3 makes a circle around the moon every about 2 hours. When it goes to 30 into 100, it will be making that orbit almost about in 100 minutes, every orbit. So it will continue going there, and every time that it makes a pass over the designated spot where we are going to land. It will take a photograph of that. There is a camera into it. So those parameters will continue gathering, and that will happen almost nearly for a day or plus. So with all these data, when they are coming for landing on the final trajectory for the landing, all these will be taken into consideration, into which ISRO also has got a role, because every pass that from the South Pole the lander is making right north, it is taking a picture, and they will try to make us sure exactly which spot they want to land, because area that they have chosen is about 4 kilometers into 2.4 kilometers. So that's a fairly wide area. We should remember, though from the sky it looks like a plane. Remember Apollo 10 experience. When the astronaut came for landing, when they came very close to it, they found that what looked like a plane is uneven surface at a slant. So they had to choose, they had to finally maneuver themselves at another place for landing. So all those possibilities are there on the moon. So ISRO team must be aware to all these things. So they are awake and they are trying to work out on. I'm sure they must be working out onto this.
All right. Okay. Well, from liftoff last month till now, the mission has seen developments almost on a daily basis. Let us look further into what these developments actually are and what they have been. All right. Starting from the top, August 17th was the big day. The moon craters were captured, and that is something that we've already spoken about before. Of course, the 14th of July is when the takeoff of the Chandrayaan 3 took place. All eyes on it leaving the atmosphere of the Earth and getting to its destination seamlessly. Of course, that was a work that was in play for the past 4 years, ever since 2019. So obviously the smoothness with which the operations and the technicalities were handled of the Chandrayaan 3 have been absolutely stellar. The whole country was watching this particular takeoff with bated breath, and of course there were a number of other developments which were also captured by the Chandrayaan. Of course, the second orbit raising maneuver is what we are talking about here, and that's exactly the point where the pictures also must have been taken. Remember, the third orbit raising maneuver happened on the 20th of July of last month. And that's exactly how the craft is supposed to go on its trajectory and go on its orbit and reach the moon. There is not a direct path. And of course, on the 25th of July, the fifth orbit raising maneuver took place, which got it closer and closer to the moon as well. It's a distance which, of course, is calculated on the basis of a number of factors. The speed obviously depends on the end mission as well. 5th of August is when the insertion into the lunar orbit took place, and that's exactly when we were able to see pictures of the moon. This is perhaps a picture which was taken 100 kilometers above the surface of the moon, and as you can see, they're quite clear, and you can also see a part of the craft as well, as it takes these pictures and transmits them back to the Earth. The second day is the first lunar orbit reduction, which basically means an analysis of what the landing is going to be about and how safe it is to pick out a point where the landing can take place. On the 14th of August, the third lunar orbit reduction transpired, and this also allowed the Chandrayaan to take pictures of the moon and send it back to the Earth. And this, of course, continued for several days until day before yesterday, and that's also a day when the lander module separated, and this basically signifies that the landing on the moon is commencing. And that's in fact a representation of how exactly the landing is going to take place, and of course the world and the country is going to be waiting for this successful landing with bated breath. Mr. Naik is also with us on the broadcast. Well, before that, we have a caller. Ramdas is giving us a call from Hyderabad. Ramdas, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to know, you were telling that when it is about 30 kilometers above the moon, it will start descending down for landing. Could you tell me what will be the speed of the equipment will be at the time of landing on the moon?
All right, why don't I in fact rope in Mr. Suresh Naik, ISRO scientist, to answer that question for you. Mr. Naik, I hope you can hear me, sir.
I will answer his question. Actually, on 23rd of August, this last phase of the journey from 30 kilometers to the southern region of the moon will start. And at the beginning of the journey, the speed of Chandrayaan will be, speed of the lander will be somewhere around 6,000 kilometers per hour. Can you imagine that speed you can compare? It is 14 times larger than the fastest bullet train in the world. So from that high speed, when it approaches moon just about 100 meters or so, it has to be brought down to something like 2 meters per second or 1.7 kilometers per hour. So that is the just perspective about what ISRO is trying to achieve, the technological challenge. And this will be done in 3 phases. First phase will be hard braking phase, which means the thrusters will see that the velocity with which the lander is coming down is very high. Okay, so that is hard braking. And then the second phase will be the medium type of thing, intermittent, where the velocity will be slightly reduced. And finally, the fine braking phase, where the velocity will be very low. So when the velocity has to be very low, when the lander comes closer to the moon, the thrusters will fire with more thrust. And that is how the more braking will be applied. And we try to see one important thing in all these journey and thruster operations is the stability of the lander has to be always looked at carefully, because the stability is very important, and its orientation and the position all the time it is monitored. Here I would like to say one little more detailed thing, how the position is determined of the lander at any given time by the navigation system on the lander. There are sensors on the lander. One is Earth sensor, so that is always looks at Earth, and that is the reference point it has got. And there is going to be another star sensor if required, and that always tracks one particular star. And with these 2 reference points available, it will be possible to exactly identify the position of the lander at any given time. So these sensors are working beautifully, and our lander is exactly following the design path. And this speed adjustment, one more thing is very important, is the navigation, then what you say is the guidance and control. They had to work in unison. The guidance system gives commands to the control system, what should be the velocity, what should be at what altitude, depending upon what altitude, and the control system executes the command. And that execution is done through the operation of the thrusters. So all this acts as the brain of the lander, and it is completely autonomous, we can say, and there is no human control in that.
All right,
of course, not possible also.
All right, sir. Professor S.K. Dhaka, also with us on the show. Professor Dhaka, if you can hear me.
Yes.
Well, it's the
Yeah, I
south.
can
It's
hear
the
you.
south
Yeah.
side of the moon, right, which is fascinating everyone. Russia's Luna 25 is also competing for a space on the south pole of the moon. Why do you think that India decided to, capture the south side of the moon when it has not been explored in the past as well? There are obvious dangers and risks in exploring this site. Please elaborate that and elucidate that for our viewers.
Yeah, I think it's a very important question. And as we know that near equator, already US, China, and USSR, Soviet Union already tried to land on that. And I think this is the less explored area. This particular part is less explored. And therefore, I think it is important to see in that particular region that because there are many things scientifically which needs to be explored and scientifically investigated. And we are very lucky that therefore we have chosen that, and that is not easy. It was the most difficult part to choose in the dark area. We call usually the dark area South Pole, because usually some portion is never means in front of the like Earth, and it is like on the back side. So from that point of view, probably to get information from that particular region is very, very exciting for us. And we are proud of like our scientists that because it was not easy like to go to that particular far area from, it was easy previously because already people have experimented. I mean the 3 different countries. But we are the first one. Of course, at the same time, as already mentioned about a couple of minutes before that, Russia, that lunar that 25 is also targeting in the same area, and of course there is a difference between the two. The technologies, of course, different. We use a different technology. We started on the 14th July, where they started only the last week on 16th August, and probably I think in this particular case, our two important things. One is that technological advancement. We need to test this, and the soft landing. So as many of my colleagues who are sitting and who are talking to the viewers, that probably it is really important to show the technological advancement of ISRO, and we are proud of them that they have shown it until now. Everything is exactly going stepwise, like in a bookish way, and there is no problem at all. So this is what exactly I would like to add.
Absolutely right. So Shivaji from Bangalore is also with us on the phone line. Shivaji, go ahead. What's your question? Shivaji, if you're there with us.
3, and I love to be an Indian.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, all the best to the Chandrayaan 3, and yeah.
All right. Thank you for that patriotic message. Mr. Rajiv Sardana, defense expert, also with us on the program. Mr. Sardana? Mr.
Yes,
Sardana?
sir.
Yeah, well, this is not only about landing on the moon and figuring out, what the resources could be on the moon that could be brought back or utilized, or even for that matter, decoding the inception of our solar system. This is going to be a successful representation as well as an illustration to the world that India is ready for the next age of space capabilities, which also includes, till a large purview, its defenses.
Absolutely. This is absolutely a brilliant moment for India. It is going to showcase India all over the world, the prowess of the ISRO and all the other agencies who have worked tirelessly to make this happen. And it is just not, as you correctly said, about mining the moon, that, the resources are there. This is a showcase. This moment is a showcase of India's engineering prowess in the aerospace field, and that we are a force to reckon with, not just on Earth, but in outer space also. This is what is going to put India on the world map, and it's going to demonstrate our technology, that we are not here to fall back, we are here to stay.
All right, Group Captain Jha. So, right, Group Captain Jha, well, let's also talk about the challenges that are perhaps not being talked about when it comes to the Chandrayaan 3 landing on this side of the moon. Temperatures at this time on the moon are somewhere close to minus 230 degrees and Celsius, not Fahrenheit. The terrain is obviously extremely lopsided. The landing spot has to be picked out with absolute carefulness and certainty. Why do you think India endeavored into this particular terrain in the first place? And people like you have always been fascinated as to what lies here, because this is an area of the moon which is not visible to us from the Earth.
Well, part of it you have already answered. These are the fascinating places, and the queries, the inquisitiveness of the science is something what makes us to do many things. And one more thing in the R&D we do, we add on to what we have done. Remember Chandrayaan 1? Chandrayaan 1 was rotating or orbiting in the polar axis, and that is what found the water on the South Pole. Now, a lot of analysis has gone onto the South Pole at that time itself. Chandrayaan 2 dwelled upon it and chosen the spot somewhere close to it. That means what we had achieved in Chandrayaan 1, we were trying to dwell and add on to Chandrayaan 2. And science and technology is something where we master and we try to add on to what we have done. Of course, we are always ready to do something totally new. But where we have achieved, where the landing was almost complete in the Chandrayaan 2 also, till that last few seconds that we have done. So we are only trying to add on to what we had done earlier. Chandrayaan 3 is doing on to that. That is one explanation. Secondly, South Pole is the area where least amount of impacts by the foreign body has been done. When you pick up a sample in and around the equator, not many impacts by asteroids, meteoroids, all these have happened. So what you have picked up need not be the original part of the stone of moon itself. It could be some foreign object that we have picked up. But when we are going to the South Pole, that is the least impacted area by the asteroids. So when we do the analysis of the surface, when our that laser analyzer of rover is going to send the laser wave deep penetration into it, the element that it detects is most likely to be the original part of the moon's surface. So regolith, the original regolith of, that is the soil, original soil of the moon is likely to be found in these areas. Of course, we know it is a difficult area. We also know that when our solar panel deploys, least amount of the sun rays will be trapped onto it. So there is a larger surface area of the solar panel itself, so that it can continue working even with that slant light reaching to the South Pole. So all these implications are there, but that is where science goes on, where the technology goes on, where ISRO is trying to gather some information what no other nation has. So that is the challenge of the science. If we had to do the same thing what USA had done, there is there is no add-on to the what science has done 30 or 40 years back. That is where ISRO is right now trying to do, and that is the area of the South Pole where we are going there. And this time, of course, we are pretty sure, because our own orbiter has gone through that area, made a pass onto their area thousands of times. And when right now we are at about, say, 153 kilometers above that, when our Chandrayaan now comes down to, say, 30 kilometers above the lunar surface after the deboosting, final deboosting, then from 30 kilometers also, every pass that it makes, every 100 minutes or 90 minutes, will be sending us the signal, will be sending us the pictures of that area. So we will be pretty sure where we are going to land, and that is where it is the South Pole. Remember, water was also on this area. So when our alpha particle analyzer of the rover makes the analysis of the regolith, the soil there, it is possible that we may find some water also. Till now, we have only seen with the camera. Now we may be able to analyze it there. We may find that hydro amount there. So all these are the reasons why we are going there, Vineet.
All right. Thank you, sir, for that detailed response to my question. Well, Chandrayaan 3 will aim to land close to the south pole of the moon. Let us see how that will work out for us as well. Like we've discussed in our preceding segment, that this is a difficult area to land in. It is not visible from the Earth. Obviously, that also makes it very, very difficult for the Indian space program to basically figure out what is going to be the right landing spot. So far, what we have talked about has been the trajectory as well as the destination and the journey of the Chandrayaan 3. We are hoping that water can be found on the moon, and we are likely to discover things which will also help us understand that how all of this, the solar system and a number of other things and other minerals came about to be, and how is the moon in fact instrumental in the creation of our solar system and the Earth as we know it as well. As you can see, what we are trying to hint here is that there is a possibility that water could be found on the moon, and if that is the case, it will be a gold mine in terms of what scientific discoveries can be made and what kind of minerals can be taken from the moon, which will help us in Lord knows in fantastic ways. So these are of course the blue dots which indicate towards a potential of water being there. There has been an intelligent conjecture or surmise that water is present, but the Chandrayaan 3 through its intricate web of discovering and finding will definitely be able to give us the data that we definitely need. So this is the landing site of the Chandrayaan 3. Those are the coordinates that you see on the screen. Towards the moon, it's the south side, as we can see. This is of course on the top, a part of the moon which is easily recognizable because of those patches and those craters, and this is going to be the landing right somewhere between the Maximus Sea and the Tycho and the Magnus. This is the chosen area for the landing, and how this is in fact going to be carried out is going to be an interesting proposition which the ISRO is already working on at this point in time. Mr. Naik, if I can come to you, sir. Mr. Naik, if I can come to you, sir. So if you can hear me.
Yeah, actually, you want to ask me a question, or shall I?
Yes, sir. I want to ask you a question about water being found on the moon. How likely is that to change, the kind of excitement that we're in the middle of pertaining to the moon and the Chandrayaan 3 landing there?
Yeah, actually, I would like to mention one more thing which was not mentioned earlier, that in Chandrayaan 1, there was a probe on the main satellite. That probe was crash landed on the South Pole, towards the South Pole. And technically, you can say that was the first experiment on the South Pole. But we cannot take it as an official recording of the landing there, because as soon as it landed, it stopped functioning because of the hard landing. But before landing, it did find out a very important discovery it made, that was that water is there on the moon. And this was confirmed by another payload or instrument on Chandrayaan 1, that it is water is there. So both ways it was confirmed. Now, coming to your point, you see, one thing is water. I will come to that. And second thing is, in the southern region of the moon, there are many sort of rocks which are as old as moon, and they are unexplored. So if we can throw some light on the origin of these rocks, then that will give us more data on the origin of the moon. And since moon is a part of the Earth when it was formed, then also we will come to know what was the time when Earth was originated. And that is what scientists are looking for. And now, as far as the water is concerned, is a very valuable thing on moon, because you can generate hydrogen from water. and hydrogen acts as an efficient fuel for the rockets, and that will be useful for either the humans who land there, coming back, or take off from the moon to other planets like Mars, because the moon's gravity is 1/6 that of the Earth, and so less fuel will be consumed when you send flights from moon. So this will give an impetus. And thirdly, that human colony, if you want to establish on moon, then water also is very important. And from the ice it is there, we can generate drinkable water. So all those things will be favorable to and sustain a human colony on the moon. And then, of course, moon mining is one possible option. Second thing is sending rockets from there to other planets. And this particular thing has renewed the interest in, again, the countries starting their journeys to moon. For example, America, already there are 6 satellites hovering around the moon. 4 of America's, 1 is Korean, and 1 is India's satellite. And 9 more are going to be launched in the next 2 years. And out of which 2 are really a pre-testing satellites for human landing. And in 2025, Americans are planning to land astronauts on moon. So also there are other countries like Israel, China, Russia. Russia is planning 3 more missions to moon. So, there is some kind of renewed interest in the moon's research on the moon, and that has become a really attractive destination right now. And this is the importance of having a mission to moon, and particularly southern part of the moon, which is unexplored.
Right, we have a caller also at this point in time. Ramakrishnan is giving us a call from Bangalore. Ramakrishnan, if you're still there with us?
Yes, I'm there.
Go on, please ask your question.
See, I'm a physics student. Of course, long back, I was a physics student. I'm interested in 2-3 things actually. One is, the temperature on the surface of the moon is where we are going to land is minus 200 degrees. So, and they want to conduct experiments with laser and all those things. So, they want to explore the surface, the soil and all those things. I was wondering, 2-3 things. Whether the electronic circuitry works at these low temperatures, which you are going to send there, and whether the sensors will be perfectly operating. And when we do the analysis with laser and all, whether the laser is very high temperature and all. So when it touches these 200 degrees, minus 200 degrees centigrade, what is sort of a reaction going to be? Is the analysis so easy? Hello?
Right. Okay. Let me in fact take a response from Professor S.K. Dhaka on what you have just said. Professor Dhaka?
Yeah, yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Go on, sir, go on.
Yeah, I could hear the question. I think we know it is a 14 days experiment. We are having 2 modules. One is, of course, so already separated, and then we are having the lander, and then later on 23rd, then we are having the rover. But the window is very specific where we are having that light, and we are having the solar panel, and they are having the capacity of like less than nearly 1 kilowatt, about 750 kilowatt or so. But as far as this is concerned, because this is on the other side, so but in those 14 days we have to complete our whole experimental part. So it means to be very, very specific that you have to complete everything, including our laser system and all spectroscopy experiment, chemical composition experiments, and of course the shape, which is of course to be conducted by the propulsion module already like in the space. Then it has sent, I think 2 days ago, some beautiful pictures of surface. But let's come back to, there are another instruments which are working. They are all tested, means at the environment of the moon already, means on the ground level. And you are having seismic kind of like instrument which will study about the tremors which is happening on the moon. Then we are having chemical composition experiments. Then we are having laser induced that it will burn that rocks and all. And then you are having the
All right,
gases.
sir.
So from those
So we'll
gases
continue this
experiment,
thought.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.